This is Jasper.
This is Randy.
This is the 1997 movie Jackie Brown. Okay. Overview is Jackie Brown is a flight attendant who gets caught in the middle of smuggling cash into the country for her gunrunner boss. When the cops try to use Jackie to get to her boss, she hatches a plan with help from a bail bondsman to keep the money for herself. Based on Elmore Leonard's novel Rum Punch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino and technically then written by Elmore Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
Stars Pam Grier as Jackie Brown, Samuel Jackson, Robert De Niro, Bridget Fonda, Michael Keaton, Robert, I think it's Forster.
Yeah.
Michael Bowen and Chris Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's got quite a cast in here.
Does it say, I'm assuming, did Tarantino do the screenplay then? Based on the book?
It didn't say.
Really?
Well, no, did it? Oh, yeah, director and screenplay. Sorry.
Okay. So, notable because this is, I believe, still the only movie that Tarantino has adapted something to a movie that's not like his original idea or his original idea, which is usually a collection of other people's ideas. But, it's the only time he's really adapted something.
What'd you think of this movie?
I've seen this before. I want to say I've only ever seen this once. Maybe twice. Seen it in the late 90s when it came out. And then maybe sometime in the early aughts I watched it. This is one of the more, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's just kind of the way the movie is. It's one of the more forgettable Tarantino movies. That's not a criticism or a fault of the movie. It's just the way the movie is. It's more low-key.
Right.
But I enjoyed this movie. What about you? Had you seen it? What did you think?
I had not seen it before. I did enjoy this movie. I do believe it went too long. It was 2 hours, 34 minutes. It was weirdly suspenseful because you didn't know who was going to be who, or how they played into the story.
But everyone does too.
Yeah.
It's actually not a huge cast, which is something I didn't, compared to most of his other movies, which I didn't realize till you read the cast list there. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Kind of crazy to me was the Robert De Niro's character, where he didn't really say much.
No.
Like he had a few lines, but it was weirdly compelling to think what does he have to do with this whole thing? It didn't seem like, at first I'm thinking, oh, he's like the drug smuggler. And then it's like, no, this is all Samuel.
He's just kicking it. He's just a dude that out of jail, kicking it. This, up until the end when he goes full De Niro,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's been movies since that he put quote-unquote excellent performances in. But that I can recall, this is the last really interesting performance of De Niro. Most of the time he just plays Robert De Niro. And I'm kind of fascinated by his character in this because it's Robert De Niro, but he's not acting like Robert De Niro. I don't know. His character's so weird. He's just kind of there. And he's a stoner, or kind of a stoner, and he's just kind of there. He's just a little awkward, kind of goofy looking, like in his mannerisms, until he gets angry towards the end, and then he's full De Niro.
That's when you're like, oh, there he is. But yeah, he's just kind of hanging out, kind of chilling.
But I like him. I like his performance here, even though he doesn't have that many lines.
I also like Robert Forster's character, the bail bondsman,
Max Cherry.
Max Cherry.
What a name!
Yeah, he was compelling to watch. He's trying to live by the code and the code of law and stuff, but he, kind of gets sucked in with her, kind of falls in love with her, and is basically like, I'm going to do anything for you,
Again, a character who honestly, he has more dialogue and more screen time than De Niro's character, but I think this is why this movie is forgettable for a lot of people. There's a lot of scenes of people not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of scenes of dialogue, but there's even scenes where there's just not dialogue. It's just following him, or he's just sitting there contemplating things or whatever. It's a slower paced movie. It's way more low key than anything like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction. But I find it very interesting. I like when the movie follows him, Max Cherry. And I think Forster's performance is good because his morality is very interesting because he seems very earnest, very honest. And I'm sure he is a straight shooter, but also he's clearly not above a little bit of shadiness in the right situation. He seems very likable, his character, to me. And the movie kind of studies his face, his expressions, and for good reason. Like he's very interesting to watch in this, I think.
He's funny kind of too, like the way he does stuff and whatever.
When he falls in love, like instantly,
Yeah.
the music kicks in. That's how you know. Like you can't even see her. He can't see her. Like she's in shadow still. It's just like her walking. She's walking like a woman who just spent like a couple days in jail, and she just wants to get home. Like she's not even putting anything. She's just walking, and he's like, oh. you know. So that kind of amused me. That cracked me up a little bit.
What did you think of the two cops, Michael Keaton and the other guy?
Ugh. The other guy's okay. He seems appropriately like kind of slimy. It's funny because of all the characters, the majority of them are criminals, and even in Max Cherry's case, he's going to be involved with a major crime. The two, what is it, ATF guys? Seem like some of the slimiest characters. Right. The one guy's okay. Michael Keaton is amped up in this movie. Amped up. And that's his character. But he's so jarring because everyone else is pretty subdued. Even when there's violence in the movie, with the exception of kind of anything to do with De Niro's character later, even that stuff plays out very slow and deliberate and like mellow. And then Michael Keaton shows up and he's chewing gum and he's up in the camera's grill and he's all over the place. And it's like, whoa. Do you know what movie you just walked into? Calm down. You're freaking me out. Like he's just like such a juxtaposition, that character.
I like him as a cop though. It's weird. The dynamic between the other cop is just kind of like, well, okay, no, he's real shady.
Oh, but, dude, they seem.
I couldn't stop laughing when he's talking into the wire. She's like, "Do you really have to do that?" Like, that was hilarious.
He's like overly by the book.
Yeah,
annoyingly so.
Now I'm counting the money, like
and putting a dot in the There's a pretty good plot here, I think, in this movie. Like, I like the plot. It's interesting. It's compelling. You don't know where it's going to go, and when it comes together, like it pretty much involves everyone in the movie. A lot of them in surprising ways, but the characters are still so well done. Samuel L. Jackson's character. First off, you commented on the hair. Very memorable. It's kind of a thing. That's kind of a thing, a Tarantino thing when he works with Samuel L. Jackson. He's always got to throw him in some interesting hair. It's either like the Jerry curl thing in Pulp Fiction, and then it's like the balding with the long, like, what color is that hair? Weird,
like
unnatural.
Orange?
Kinda.
Like it's not red. It's like
just slightly off. It's slightly lighter than his skin tone. So it all like comes together in a kind of a strange way.
Apparently he picked that. He wanted his character to have a long ponytail.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then the little skinny goatee braid thing. His character is interesting. Samuel L. Jackson, man, delivers that dialogue. He's so good with dialogue in these movies. But I find it interesting because he 100% feels like a different, even though some of his delivery is the same as is it Jules? Was he Jules?
Yeah.
Even though his delivery is the same as Jules in Pulp Fiction, he feels like 100% a different character. He's got a different personality. Jules even though he's a hitman, kind of seems likable, almost trustworthy as far as hitmen go. This guy, pretty quick, you're like, this guy is not trustworthy. It might be one of the most slowest pace, like nothing happening but bad scenes, is he convinces Chris Tucker, and like it's been so long since, like I remember the shot with the car going around into the field, but it's been so long since I seen it, I didn't realize, like, I forgot that he kills Chris Tucker, but he convinces him to get in the trunk, which is a little suspect, but then he gets in the car. It's this one long, very slow shot of just Samuel L. Jackson's face. His expression changes, but just slightly, and it is one of the most bad things ever, because you know what's happening. It's like, oh man, you could just see it all working behind his eyes.
And he turns the music up and then drives around the block.
Yeah, he just drives around, off to this slightly secluded place, open, just nonchalant. And that's the thing. Like, this guy how has he not gotten caught for anything yet? Obviously, they know about him.
Mm-hmm.
But the couple of times you see him involved in like a murder, it's more or less just on the street, nonchalant, pop, pop, and then either just drives off or gets out and walks away. And it's like, what? It's just
Yeah, because he just opens the trunk and you hear him. And he's like, "Yeah, man, could you?" And then
pop.
done.
And gets in and drives the car off.
I forgot to bring this up, but Samuel's character reminded me of me because where he says, "You can use my car, but don't touch my levels."
Oh yeah,
He's like, "You mess with the volume, but don't." He's like, They're right where I like them." I'm like, "That is me in my car." Like,
that's one of those lines I remember from when the movie came out. Like, it did okay. I think a lot of people are disappointed coming out of Pulp Fiction. They were expecting something more Pulp Fiction-y, more amped up. But that is one of the lines that did catch on with a lot of people. And it was probably used in the trailer a bunch, stuff like that. So there's a couple of memorable things that kind of hit pop culture for a while, and that's one of the lines.
right. I could not stop laughing. I'm like, this dude's me. Like, yeah, I mean, he's not a good guy to work for, apparently. There's no severance package in his employment.
He had an employee he had to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, wasn't that after Chris Tucker died?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was weird because...
Yeah, then he drives him over and shows him to De Niro's character, which is kind of like I kind of read as a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you work with me. This is what happens when I have to let people go, though.
Mm-hmm. He's like, because he wasn't going to go do 20 years and not say anything, but he has no problem killing anybody, and to protect himself.
Yeah,
he's like the prime crime lord.
That's exactly it. It is like it doesn't matter because he genuinely seemed to kind of like, we don't get any interaction between them before he goes over to murder her, but it seems like he probably genuinely liked Jackie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the Chris Tucker, the Beaumont, his character's Beaumont, they set that up basically to set up what his plan with Jackie is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Gets popped, he bails them out, $10,000 for each. Mm-hmm. That pulls character Max Cherry in. In the case of Beaumont, he bails him out that night, goes over to his place, kills him because he knows he's going to flip on him. Same thing with Jackie, only it seemed like Jackie kind of got set up, whereas I don't know the situation with Beaumont. But same thing with Jackie. She gets popped. He bails her out, goes over to her place, but she had a heads up because Max Cherry kind of recognized a pattern real quick.
Mm-hmm.
He had some drinks with her and kind of give her kind of a heads up in a way. Like, this is what happened to Beaumont just like yesterday.
Right.
I like that scene where Samuel L. Jackson's character comes to her place that night to murder her. He's ready. Like, we watched him put the gloves on again before he got out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole scene plays out interesting because she knows why he's there. But she's trying to play it cool, and the camera kind of moves around the apartment a few times, and several times, like every time Samuel L. Jackson goes by the lamp, he like turns the lights down, so it's like almost black in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll walk by and she'll turn it back up, and it's all one take, and like just really well done. But I like that it's not like she didn't just threaten him, like she pulled the gun on him because he's about to strangle her or something.
Yeah, because she's like, "Get your hands off my neck."
But she pulls the gun to get him to stop, whatever. But then she manages to talk him into a plan to where it's like, she doesn't just threaten him like, "You're not going to do anything to me or I'll shoot you." It's like, "Chill out or I'll shoot you. Here's what we're going to do." And she hatches this plan, which we don't really get keyed into till it's kind of in motion. And apparently convinces him to do it. And I'm really like, she manages to convince him at several problematic parts of the plan. Like, she always manages to sway him.
Yeah.
She plays him pretty well.
I like that scene too because they're playing that scene and Max Cherry driving away side by side.
They even do split screen for a bit.
Yeah.
To set up that, like, oh, his gun's gone.
Yeah. And at first I'm like, does Samuel have his gun and is going to blame him for her murder? To kind of kill two birds with one stone, or does she have it? But then you're like, she has to have it. Like, I didn't know if Samuel grabbed it while they were in that one place, but But for that split second, you're like, does she have who has his gun?
It's also interesting. I was just watching a YouTube video about this, about conflicting tones and Tarantino's use of conflicting tones. But that scene is a good example of that because it goes split screen to where the one side we're still watching this interaction between Jackie and what Ordell. That's his name.
Yep.
It's his character's name. Samuel Jackson's character.
Mm-hmm.
This very tense scene where it's like, is he going to kill her? What's good?
Yeah, because I was like, this is early in the movie for her to die.
Uh-huh.
Like,
what's going to happen? And then on the other side of the screen, we've got Max Cherry driving in his car, smiling and feeling good because he just fell in love with this lady.
mm-hmm.
And it adds to the tension. Moving this forward, the Robert De Niro, when the De Niro finally comes out, he's super tense, and they're in the big plan is going down.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there with Bridget, what's her name?
Fonda.
Bridget Fonda, and she is just harping on him, and like he's about to punch her like right in the store, and like it's very tense. I guess we've already touched on spoilers, but when that whole situation goes down, what did you think? Did you see that coming?
I kind of did, like
Just because she was just
really you could tell
non-stop
the way De Niro played
harping.
it. Yeah, the way De Niro played it, he was getting really upset.
She was escalating.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, and he just turns around and shoots her.
Just pop, pop.
Yeah, and then he does the angry De Niro face on the scene. I like when they get back and he's like, so where's she at? And he's like, kind of thinks some things happened. And he's like, I shot her. And he's like, you shot her? I shot her. Like,
I like how that plays De Niro's character, because he kind of returns back to that awkward character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, he plays it awkwardly.
Like, he plays a quiet character, but he's also like a character that you already know kind of shouldn't be trifled with.
Yeah.
Because they talk about his past quite a few times, but
and then when, again, you see it coming, but Ordell shoots him, it's pretty jarring and shocking too, because they park and then like you got a scene of talking for quite a while and the camera's in the back of the van and we're just held on that. And then when that first shot happens, I don't know if it's just mixed super loud or if I didn't realize I had the TV turned up as loud as I did, but like, or if it just made me jump and it made it seem louder, but it's just pop out of nowhere. Like, you don't see the gun or anything. It's just huge gunshot sound. And I start getting paranoid about the neighbors hearing a gunshot or something. Anyway. And then like blood spray on the windshield and then another one. And then he's like, what happened to you? You were beautiful.
Yeah, I was like, what?
That's a good line. I like it.
Yeah, they said that Tarantino was catching flack for how violent and bloody and gory his movies were. So both those killings where one was off screen
completely.
And one was basically censored by the back of his
by the scene blocking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make it less. Oh, it maybe lessens the blow, but like I said, it increases the like shock of when it actually happens with De Niro's character. But I think with Bridget Fonda's character, it kind of makes that seem so much worse to me, because you don't even see, like, she's walking, they're walking. He turns, she's just out of frame, so you don't even see her at all at that point. Pop, pop, like she's talking. Pop, pop. He turns around, keeps walking, and you just don't see or hear her again. She's just disappeared.
Right.
That kind of seems way more disturbing to me. It puts it all in your head.
Like,
then
he
it
just
puts it
left
all
her
in
there.
your head.
She's just laying,
Yeah, that's super effective though, and I guess in a way of self-censorship, not showing the violence, in my mind, kind of made it worse.
Yeah. Which, like, I kind of think like that part in the VW bus where he shoots him was like way more. It kind of made me jump because he's just like wham. I was like, whoa! Like,
there's hardly even any movement still, even when the shot goes off. De Niro's character like rocks a bit, like jumps a bit, and there's the blood spray, but that's like it. It's mostly sound,
especially like
spray.
On the second shot, he kind of leans in and shoots him again. Like, I was like,
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, De Niro played that well because he looked shocked.
Uh-huh.
Like, he's like, whoa, why did you just shoot me?
How did he not see it coming though? Like, I was like, yo, you're gonna die, dude. You're
right.
gonna die. Like, I knew it was coming, and it
especially
still made me jump.
As soon as he asked to pull over, I'm like, oh, you're dead.
Yeah. The other big thing I want to mention, then we can roll into star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
The end. What did you think of the end?
I think it leaves it open for another movie.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I thought it was gonna be this big showdown. and she's going to tell him what's up, basically. And then, he comes in with Max Cherry, kind of using him as a body shield. And then he walks in the office, and all she's like, he's got a gun. And then they shoot him. And I was like, well, that was kind of...
It goes to, like, it takes a long time. The car ride over, it's all just tension.
Mm.
Even when he finally gets there and he walks in and it's all slow, like he walks in slow, it's dark. When it goes down, it's boom. It's like, dude jumps out of the bathroom, she shouts, he fires, done. Like just boom, split second. Yeah, it's interesting. A big tension, lots of buildup, and then resolution just instantly.
Yeah, and it was like, whoa, okay, that didn't pan out as much as I thought it was going to. Like,
there's no big speech, no monologuing.
Yeah. And I thought he's going to get back up or something, but nope, he's just dead. Like, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost off-putting, but
they also didn't tell Max Cherry to move, like, or didn't give him much warning if the bullet would have went through him anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, because we've set up this kind of romance, Max Cherry agreed to, like, oh, by the way, she got away with $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like her and Max Cherry, like, he was only taking 10%. They got away with it. They ripped off Ordell, which essentially resulted in the death of all the other characters. Ordell, Bridget Fonda's character, what was it, Melanie, I think her name was?
Yeah.
And De Niro's character. And they ripped off the ATF guys. So they got away with it. The movie set up this romance, and this is the happily ever after scene, right?
Right.
Except it's not. He's not going to go, because he was even talking about retiring.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he changed his mind. He's not going to retire. She's leaving the country or wherever, and he doesn't go with her. And I like how it's handled, where he's like, they kiss, they're having their like goodbye, and then he gets a call because he's at work still, and he's taking the call. She's leaving, and he's like, "Can you call back in 30 minutes?
Can you excuse me for a half hour?"
And you kind of expect him at that point to like put the phone down and run out after her. Instead, like, he's putting the phone down. She drives off, and then he just walks off into the unfocused background, and like looks like he's probably breaking down a little bit. And then she's driving down the street listening to music. It's
a weird ending to how much time is in that movie and how much story is in that movie. Yeah, it just kind of abruptly ended.
It intentionally doesn't give you that resolution that you are expecting, which is maybe another reason it was not as popular as some of his other movies.
Right.
But I like it. It is a bummer though. It's like, it frustrates me, but I do like it. It's a movie about getting older.
Right.
This is essentially
falling in love with a crazy gun-wielding lady.
She is a little crazy. Like she
knows what she's doing.
She's got some brass ones, man.
That's because she was in Foxy Brown.
So
foreshadow.
What do you rate this bad boy?
I rated it. So at first I was at 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of length, and some parts I got kind of lost on because of length. I really did like the acting and the kind of like the closure of some of the plot lines. So I went with 4 out of 5.
Okay. So
it's at 3.5.
That's your guess for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're giving it 4.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually going to go with 4 stars as well.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's underrated. The plot is interesting. It had me engaged. The characters are very interesting. It's consistently well acted, including Pam Grier, which was very interesting because I watched Foxy Brown one evening and then watched this, I think the next maybe, which was intentional. I wanted to watch Foxy Brown and then lead into Jackie Brown. Interesting to see her, a younger her, in a low-budget movie, not acting so hot, not acting very well, and going into something like this, where bigger budget, especially after Pulp Fiction. I don't know what this budget was. It doesn't seem like it needed a huge budget, but I'm sure he had money to work with. But also, like, no bad against Jack Hill, but very talented director. I think her acting's very good in this.
Right.
Everyone's acting's good. I like the directing. It's not flashy. There are moments of flashiness, but it's not flashy, but it is well handled. Even the slow scenes. And this is like something I say, like, Foxy Brown was kind of dull. and it didn't look terrible, but it wasn't interesting. This movie, there's scenes where there's nothing happening, but it looks visually much more interesting, and from like observing characters, it's much more interesting. It's just well made. That said, it is a little long. It's a slow pace for 2.5 hours. A little long. I don't know what I would say needs to be cut, because I like what's there, but it does drag, and it is hard. Like, I did break this into two viewings, which I don't like to do, but I did. I was like, okay, watched it, a big chunk of it, and then I was like, all right, I got other stuff to do, so I'm gonna take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Little long, and then also it's good, not super memorable.
Right.
I enjoy it, but I understand why.
I kind of felt it was like a one-time watch. Like, it's a good movie, but like, I can see watching it multiple times.
Yeah, it's not something like most of Tarantino's other movies where they lend themselves to rewatches in a way. Mm-hmm. This is worth a rewatch, but it's not something like, this is maybe my second or third time since 1997 watching it. Seems about right. Feels about right. So,
yeah.
Glad we watched it though for the podcast, because it is a movie worth revisiting if it's been a decade since you've seen it.